All right. Welcome to the Chassidic Nigunim. Chassidic Nigunim. Melodies. Chassidic Melodies. Tonight is Monday night. What I was going to do, and I spoke about earlier, was a nigun called a nigun funke. Funke is a farmer, a Russian farmer who was just a regular guy, but nothing special about him, very simple. But he has strong emotions. And what's unique about a nigun funke, it's what's called funke, it's a Russian word, maybe a Ukrainian word, is it parallels the idea we find by Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is called a trembling joy. And on one part of our heart, we tremble because, like we spoke about earlier, it has a tremendous judgment day. God's going to give us what we need, more than what we need, but it's measured, and we're not sure what the year lays ahead. Maybe God will give us what we need, but we don't even know what we need. Perhaps we don't need that much. Perhaps we're not needed for the rest of the year, God forbid. But there's a certain trembling, but at the same time, there's a lot of joy. A lot of joy because we know God is renewing his covenant with us, which is tied into this week's Parsha. So there's this joy and this trembling, this fear going on at the same time. I think, although this nigun that I'm going to do is not a traditional nigun funke, it's a nigun, it is a melody which is sung on every Yomtov, every Chag, every holiday or festival, including Rosh Hashanah. It's called Atah v'chartanu mikol ha'amim. You have chosen us amongst all the nations. Afta isanu, you've loved us. V'ratzisa banu, you want us. V'rememtanu mikol ha'lashonos, and you've raised us amongst all the other nations. V'kidishtanu mikol b'mitzvah. You've made us holy through your mitzvahs. V'keraftanu malkeinu l'avodasecha, you've brought us close, our King, to your service. Shimcha Gadol HaKadosh, your holy and great name, Aleinu Karasa, is upon us to speak out, to find what they actually say. How do they actually translate? For us to proclaim, and complain. But for us to proclaim. And it fits. I was going to do a traditional nigun funke, but I was having a tough time. I thought it was going to be a little bit too complex. Then my wife just said, well, my favorite nigun is Atah v'chartanu. So I said, okay, that fits in very well. Why does it fit very well? Not beyond just the reason I said, is because it has to do with this week's parsha, and especially today's portion of the parsha. It says, Laman takim oischach hayom. In order to establish, Moses says, God is going to establish a covenant with you this day to his people, and that he will be your God as he spoke to you and as he swore to your forefathers, to Isaac, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In other words, you're going to be his people. This is the day that God establishes us as his people, his chosen people. Chosen, what does that mean? Chosen to carry out the commandments of the Torah. That's a tremendous joy, to be chosen by the king of all kings, to be the ambassador, the shliach, as we say, to the nations of the world, carry out that mission, and that Aleinu Karasa, it's for us to proclaim that God is ruler of the universe, and all of its depth and all of its the deep significance behind that. So this nigun is sung every Yomtov, like I said, and it's super fun. It was taught by the Rebbe. Simchas Torah, like most of the nigunim, like most of the melodies, Simchas Torah, Simchat Torah, which is at the end of Sukkot. It's its own holiday. The Rebbe taught it probably like 3 o'clock in the morning or something. I wasn't there. It was in 1962, I believe. This is what it looks like in Hebrew. It is in the Machzer. and I will sing it. I just want to show it to you, and then I'll sing it. What's unique about this niggin? What's unique is there are two melodies, two stanzas, essentially, two melodies within the same niggin. Again, the first part is going to be something very solemn and holy, while the second one refers to the Baal Tshuva returning, and it's fun, and it's loud, and there's a lot of work going into it. So the first part is going to be very serious and serene, and it refers to the tzaddik. The tzaddik, where his avoda, his service of God, the way he conducts himself, is like cool, calm, collected. He sees godliness, he senses godliness. There's no lack of clarity. There's no we spoke about earlier, Bavel. There's no confusion. There's no gullus. He's not in gullus. He's not in exile. So it's very serious, but it's serene, very, very holy, hallowed. Then the next part gets into the Baal Teshuvah, the one who's breaking free from the mud he's been hanging out in, the dank bars, and bars like drinking bars, kretschmas, as we would say in Yiddish, I guess, maybe Ukrainian also. He's breaking free, and he's getting out. He's breaking out. He's getting out. He's returning to where he came from, and he's drilling it into his head. He's going to keep repeating these lines over and over again, and the melody never stops, because we know teshuvah is a state of mind. It's not just, I say I'm sorry, and I'll never do it again. That's not enough. Teshuvah means return. That's the whole point. That's what we're doing in Elul. That's what we're doing in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It's not just then. Those are just great opportunities. Those are opportune times to do teshuvah. Really, it's your whole life is teshuvah, going back to your essence, going to who you are, and that's why the melody never ends. You'll see it's drilling it in. You keep repeating the words, and the tune doesn't have a conclusion. Much like in davening and prayer, we say the same prayers over and over again. How boring is that? It's the same prayer every single day, 3 times a day. Okay, Shabbos is a little bit different. On Yomtov, it's a little bit different. Why do we do that? Why you come to a Chassidic Fabrengen, a Chassidic gathering? You come to my classes. I repeat the same things over and over again. It's done on purpose, because the more you hear it, the more you say it, the more it becomes ingrained in you, the more it changes you. And that's the point. That's what we're trying to do here, trying to change ourselves, trying to be true to ourselves. And it's a constant battle. It's a fun battle for the most part. But we keep going, and we keep doing it over and over again. There's joy to this. You'll see there's joy, but there's repetition, and the joy never ends. But there's repetition. And that's how it goes. That's our life. That's our life as Yidden, life as Jews. And by us being that change that we want to see, as I quote from Gandhi, it has an effect on our surroundings. And we know one of the greatest things a chassid can do. We're all chassidim, whether you have a black hat and a beard, or a long skirt, or whatever it is, or you just have pants and you great fashion. Doesn't matter. At heart, we're all chassidim. A chassid is alive. A chassid is joyful. As we know, chassidim didn't want to be called chassidim in the beginning. A chassid means a righteous person. We didn't want to call ourselves that. We called ourselves the freilichen. Freilichen means the joyful ones. We wanted to be the joyful ones because that's who we are. Okay, the people ended up calling us chassidim, but at the core, we're freilich. We're happy. We're joyful. And we are, by that, we affect chassid machta sviva, as the saying goes. A chassid creates his surrounding. He creates his environment. He changes his environment. By his mere presence, the environment should change. And I think we know people who are like that, people who have great energy. They just walk into a room and the room changes. That's something that we strive for, something that we have to do. You have to take ownership of that and be that kind of person and try to bring that out of you every single day. So this is sung every Shabbat, every Yomtov, every Chag, every holiday, and it goes like this. Oy Atah v'chartanu mikol ha'amim, ahavta oisanu v'ratzisavanu, v'roi mamtanu mikol ha'shonos v'kidashtanu v'mitzvaysecha v'keravtanu malkeinu la'avodasecha V'shimcha agadol v'akadosh aleinu karasa. So that was the tzaddik. Here comes the Baal Teshuvah, the rest of us. Atah v'chartanu mikol ha'amim ahavta isanu v'ratzisabanu ahavta isanu v'ratzisabanu v'roi mamtanu mikol ha'shoynos v'kidashtanu b'mitzvaysecha v'roi mamtanu mikol ha'shoynos v'kidashtanu b'mitzvaysecha Keiravtanu malkeinu la'avodasecha Keiravtanu malkeinu la'avodasecha V'shimcha agadol v'yakadosh aleinu karasa V'shimcha agadol v'yakadosh aleinu karasa Ida 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 aya ya ya ida mama mama ida maya mama 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 diya ida mama mama ida maya mama 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 Yada 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 da 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 ya yada 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 bam ba dum bam 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 ba yam ba dum bam 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 ba ya 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 da 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 la ya da. Obviously, you get it how it keeps going. It doesn't stop. The first part is the tzaddik. The second part is us. There's a certain joy when you break out, when you're finally. That's it. I'm resolving to be who I want to be. All the all the things that happened to us in the past, it doesn't matter. You can choose at every moment to become the person that you want to be. In fact, the Rebbe asks a question: why did God create sleep? Sleep is such a waste of time. 8 hours of our day, 7 hours of our day, some of us 10, 12 hours of our day. What a waste of life to sleep. But what God wanted, the Rebbe explains, what God wanted, and it's rooted in the words of Kabbalah and Chassidus, God wanted us to experience rejuvenation. That at you wake up refreshed, you wake up as a new person. God wants us to feel what does it mean that at any moment you can change as a new person. You can become not a new person, you become like a new person. That's the Torah will never say become a new person, but you can become like a new person. That feeling you can the Rebbe says you can feel that at any moment during the day. As we know, it says it clearly in the Torah, and we say it every day in our prayer. Hamechadish b'tuvoi b'chol yom tamid. Hashem, God, recreates the world every single day, and according to Kabbalah, every single moment. God recreates the world. Why? To let us know that there's an opportunity at every moment. One of the reasons that every moment you have an opportunity to just say, I'm done. I'm going to become whatever has happened to me in the past, whatever environment I'm in, whoever friends I have, whichever family I come from. Lech lecha, as God told to Abraham, lech lecha, go. Lech lecha means go to yourself. Go to that part of you that's your truest self. And leave ma'artzecha, your land, or meladetcha, your birthplace, The Beis Avicha, your father's home. Yeah, leave all those places. Lech lecha, and go to who you are. I remember there's one time there was a very quiet kid in my elementary school. Oliver, his name was Oliver. Never spoke, really. I never heard him speak. And I remember, I don't know what it was, like 11th grade. So imagine from like third grade all the way to 11th grade, I don't think I ever heard him say more than 2 words. He came back one summer and he was a completely very funny. He was loud, very social, very approachable. And I never asked him why, what happened. I never really spoke to him. And, but what was interesting is I treated him exactly how he acted. In other words, although I knew him as like, up until that point, I always knew him as a very quiet kid, and someone not approachable. But then all of a sudden, for one moment, he came back and he was loud and approachable and social. And that was it. I just treated him as loud. I never even thought like, hey, you're that quiet kid. Why are you acting like that? It was never, because he carried himself a certain way, everybody changed around him. Oh, this is how you are now. And I this is actually quite incredible. I remember even thinking like, wow, I don't know, I just talked to you as a regular person now. And that fits very well with when the spies came back, the 12 spies, they came back from the land of Israel, and they gave that terrible report. Part of that report that they said that ultimately led us to being in the desert for 40 years, what they said was a very interesting line. They said, we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were in the eyes of the giants. And it really should have said, we were like grasshoppers in the eyes of the giants. But that's not what the Torah says. The Torah says what they said was, we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and therefore we were grasshoppers in their eyes. The Torah was teaching us that however you view yourself is how the world is going to view you. However you carry yourself is how the world is going to look at you. Now, even if someone on the external, like your family, you change very quickly, and let's say you make your resolve to change, even if your family might give you pushback very quickly, or your closest friends be like, hey, that's not you. On the inside, they've changed. I promise you, on the inside, there is a strong change that has taken place. And now this is when they push you back, that's very external. And that's what we strive to be. That is about tshuva, and that's how we should act at every moment. And there's joy in that. There's joy in breaking through to that. And I just want to let you hear it, as I usually do, sung by I don't know who, but this is how it is on Chabad.org. So in case I sung out of key at any point, you know how it's really supposed to sound. You walk into a Chabad house, you'll know the song. You can sing with everybody. The rabbi will be amazed, and the Rebbe. This is a tzaddik. It's bliss. There's the repetition. There's such joy in this. There's joy in knowing who you really are at your core. That's the joy. This is who I am. God is close to you. so we can call out your great name. Playback isn't good. So obviously it keeps going. Like we said before, someone said the playback isn't that great. Yeah, it's an old recording. I don't know if you were able to hear it at all. You hear that, Aviva? This is what davening is about. This is what prayer is about. Saying the words over and over again, and the joy of figuring out who we are and finally acting, emulating that who we are to our core, brings us tremendous joy. Anybody have any questions? Playback isn't good. Okay. Anybody else? So this is Atah v'chartanu. Once again, this is sung in every Yomtov, every holiday. We sing it twice. When you're in shul and you hear, once again, hundreds of people saying it, singing it. Sometimes it goes on for a very long time. All right. Tomorrow, halacha. So you got anybody? No questions? All right. Hey guys, wish you a good night then. All right. That's it. I got nothing else to say then. Just learn it.